There's a kind of love that doesn't look wrong at first glance. The kind that hides behind words like, "We're just close," or "He's the only one who understands me." But beneath that closeness is something darker. Something that looks like love, feels like love, but drains the soul of the child forced to carry it. This is the psychology of emotional incest, when a mother turns her son into her emotional husband. It often starts when the mother has been abandoned by a partner, by her own parents, or by life itself. She feels empty, unseen, unloved. And when her son is born, he becomes her savior, her emotional anchor, the one person who won't leave. She projects her wounds onto him, and without realizing it, she begins to depend on him in ways no child should ever have to bear. To the outside world, it looks like devotion, a mother who adores her son. But behind closed doors, the boundaries blur. The boy becomes her confidant, her comforter, her protector. She tells him too much, leans on him too heavily, and praises him for being mature for his age. But what she's really doing is transferring her unmet emotional needs onto a child who doesn't yet understand the weight of love that comes with conditions. Psychologically, this creates what therapists call enmeshment. It's when two identities become fused together, when the son no longer knows where his emotions end and hers begin. Every time he tries to pull away, she reacts with guilt, sadness, or anger. He learns quickly that her happiness depends on his compliance. So he stops trying to separate. He becomes what she needs, not because he wants to, but because love has been tied to sacrifice. And that's how the son husband is born. He grows up thinking it's his job to fix her moods, to calm her storms, be the man she never had. But in doing so, he never gets to be a child. He becomes emotionally aged before his time. A boy who listens more than he speaks, who apologizes more than he should, who loves like it's a debt he can't repay. This conditioning follows him into adulthood. He attracts partners who remind him of his mother, women who need saving, who manipulate through guilt, who equate control with love. He feels responsible for their emotions, apologizes for their pain, and confuses peace with pleasing. It's not love he's chasing, it's relief from the same emotional burden he's carried since childhood. The psychology behind this is tragic. The son husband never learns selfhood. He's trained to tune in to everyone else's feelings before his own. And because his worth was built on being needed, he fears independence, his own and others. When people don't need him, he feels useless. When they pull away, he feels abandoned. Then, when they love him freely, without requiring him to fix or save, he feels lost. Because unconditional love is foreign to him. The mother, too, remains trapped in her own wound. She doesn't see what she's done, not out of malice, but out of emptiness. In her mind, she's simply close to her son. But beneath that closeness is emotional possession. She can't tolerate his distance because his autonomy threatens her identity. If he grows up and leaves, she loses her emotional supply. So she clings tighter through guilt, through tears, through subtle manipulation that says, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me." The son internalizes that guilt. He grows into a man who cannot say no, not to women, not to family, not to anyone. He'll give and give until he's empty and still feel like it's not enough. Because deep down, he's still trying to earn the love of a woman who used him to heal her pain. This is the unspoken damage of emotional incest. It doesn't show up as trauma scars or visible abuse. It shows up as confusion, as guilt for setting boundaries, as anxiety when choosing himself. It's the reason some men feel trapped between caring too much and resenting the people they care for. And while it's easy to judge the mother, the truth is, most of them were once daughters who were never loved properly either. They learned that love means sacrifice, control, and dependency. They were never taught boundaries, so they never learned how to respect their childs. What they pass down isn't evil, it's unresolved pain, but the damage it does is generational. The son grows up emotionally imprisoned, unable to form healthy intimacy because he's never known love without obligation. His relationships become cycles of burnout, caretaking, resentment, withdrawal, repeat. He either becomes the rescuer or runs from emotional responsibility altogether, seeing love as a trap. But none of this was ever his fault. He was cast in a role. He never auditioned for a role that cost him his childhood, and if left unhealed, his peace. When the son finally begins to awaken, it's never a clean break. It's a slow unraveling. Something deep inside him starts whispering that he's tired of being the savior, tired of being responsible for someone else's storms, tired of feeling guilty for wanting to breathe. But awakening comes with pain, because the moment he begins to separate, the illusion of love starts to shatter. The mother senses it instantly. She'll say he's changed, that he's become distant, cold, ungrateful. She reminds him of everything she's done for him, the sacrifices, the late nights, the devotion. But beneath those words is fear. She's not angry because he's pulling away. She's terrified because without him, she has to face her own emptiness. He was her emotional life support. And now he's unplugging. This is where most sons relapse into guilt. The bond, no matter how toxic, feels sacred. After all, it's your mother. Society tells you she can do no wrong, that you owe her your life. But psychological truth doesn't bow to sentiment. Love without boundaries is not love, it's fusion. And fusion destroys identity. You cannot heal while remaining the medicine for someone else's wound. Healing starts when the son realizes he has the right to exist separately, that he is not his mother's redemption, that her suffering is not his responsibility to fix. This realization feels cruel at first. It feels selfish. But selfishness, in this context, is survival. You have to choose yourself, even if it means being misunderstood. Breaking free from emotional incest requires a kind of courage most people will never understand. Because not just detaching from a person, you're detaching from the version of yourself that was trained to keep everyone else alive. You have to rebuild your sense of worth from the ground up, without the constant feedback of someone else's need. Psychologically, this means learning to tolerate guilt without giving in to it. Guilt is the chain emotional enmeshment uses to pull you back. It tells you you're abandoning her, but you're not. You're just refusing to continue dying quietly in the name of love. The son who chooses to heal must grieve twice. First, for the childhood he never had. Then for the mother he wished he could have had. Because once you see her clearly, you realize she wasn't a monster, but a mirror of generational pain. Her love wasn't evil. It was unhealed. She gave you what she had, and what she had was broken. Healing doesn't always mean reconciliation. Sometimes it means silence. Sometimes it means distance. Sometimes it means loving from afar without being consumed again. And that's a love she may never understand. Because true healing looks like disloyalty to the dysfunctional version of the relationship, and for someone still trapped in their wounds, that feels like betrayal. But the son who breaks the cycle becomes something his bloodline has never seen. A man who loves without rescuing, who gives without losing himself, who chooses peace over guilt. He learns that being strong doesn't mean carrying everyone. It means standing firm in who you are, even when it disappoints those who depend on your weakness. Over time, he starts to feel something unfamiliar, peace that doesn't come from fixing someone, but from finally fixing himself. He stops chasing approval. He stops mistaking guilt for love. He starts understanding that the most radical act of love is refusing to participate in what destroys you and the mother. Some evolve when the son steps away, others harden. But in either case, something shifts. His absence forces her reflection. She's confronted with the truth that love built on dependency isn't love at all, it's survival. Then when survival ends, the truth finally has room to breathe. This is the psychology of emotional incest. It's not about evil, it's about emptiness. It's about two souls bonded through trauma instead of trust, through loneliness instead of love. And the healing doesn't come from assigning blame. It comes from understanding that the love you were given was limited, but your capacity to transcend it isn't. You were never born to be her partner. You were born to become your own person, to love freely without guilt, to protect your peace the way you once protected her emotions. Because the son who was once her emotional husband eventually learns the most powerful truth of all, that the love he was forced to give her was never his curse. It was his gift. And when he finally gives it back to himself, the chain breaks. He's no longer her savior. He's finally his own.